Hi everyone, so I'm going to try to film my wash routine over the next couple days and edit this video together so you guys can see what I do. I live in an apartment building and we have washing machines, but they are pay per load, and more than that the machines are gigantic, so I have to build up a load. It takes me a couple of weeks to get a load big enough, and I honestly don't feel like the machine gets my cloth pads the cleanest or as clean as they could get, just because I usually have to put them into a mesh laundry bag so that they don't get damaged in the machine. And I think that washing them with my other laundry, um, because the items aren't the same size, so like I'm washing them with shirts and pants and that kind of thing, it just doesn't agitate well enough to get the pads really clean. So I use a manual washer. It's called a washing wand. It's kind of like the bucket and plunger method. So I'm going to show that to you when I get to washing a load. But to start, I want to show you what my storage setup is in my bathroom. So my stash is too big to fit in our bathroom, and our bathroom doesn't have space even if I had a small stash. So what I do is, before my cycle starts, I pick out I would say about 30 pads that I want to use for that cycle, and I put them in this hanging pouch here. So I'm actually sitting on my toilet right now, so this is within easy reach. And I just, I store them in here. I usually just like store them shortest to longest. And at home, I don't use a wet bag for storage. I use this cotton sack. I sewed this myself. It's basically a pillowcase shape. You can use an old pillowcase. It's in an embroidery hoop, and I just have it hanging on a hook here. So I just put my soil pads in here. And why I do that, last summer, so this is my first summer using cloth pads, I noticed that the pads that were at the bottom of the wet bag stayed damp for a really long time. Our bathroom gets humid, we don't have AC at home. And the pads that were at the bottom of the wet bag were the most soiled. They were, and even though the wet bag was open, enough air wasn't circulating. So those pads stayed damp because I would wash at the end of my cycle, and I just didn't want to risk any mold or mildew. So I wanted something that was completely breathable but opaque, so that I didn't have to move it out of the room when we had guests, because we only have one bathroom. So I made this, bag is just black cotton. Again, you can't see into it. Even standing up, like, you'd have to really walk and then make an effort to look into it. So this is just some soil pads and wipes and everything else that I use in my bathroom that needs to get washed. So this is my solution at home. So I don't think you need a wet bag at home, to be honest. And there's no smell because the pads get to dry out. They're like, it's never damp. And then when this gets, about halfway full, and I also have some reusable wipes I use for toilet paper, I wash them all together. So I kind of did the load from the first half of my cycle already. I'm going to do probably another load tonight or tomorrow. So I'm going to come back and show you how I do my soak, and then how the bucket and plunger method works for my cloth pads. Alright, bye for now. I'm back again. Just I wanted to quickly show you the different items that I use before they're in use, so that you can kind of get a closer look at them. I'm going to start with the cleaning products first. So right now I'm using Oxi-Clean brand to soak my pads. I've used another Oxi-Cleaner called Oxo Bright, this brand here, and this worked fine. I used this brand because it was the first brand that was recommended, because I bought Party in My Pants pants. I bought Party in My Pants pads, and this is the brand they recommended, and I used it for a long time. And I kept using it because it was the cheapest one I could find, actually, when I would buy online, and it worked fine. I started using the Oxi-Clean brand just because I realized it was cheaper for me to buy this from the grocery store than to try to buy Oxo Bright online. But I haven't seen any difference in performance, so I think either brand is fine. I still have the Oxo Bright container because it has a handle, so I've been pouring Oxi-Clean into this and kind of scooping it out of this one. Next thing I use is Fels-Naptha. After I soak, I usually do 2 soaks. If and between those soaks, if there's stains, I will rub Fels-Naptha on the stain and put the pad back into the Oxi-Clean water. This is actually the Fels-Naptha I've been using. I've been using this bar since last year, and I've had this backup bar ready and waiting for whenever that one finishes, but it doesn't seem like it'll be anytime soon. I also use hydrogen peroxide. This is a spray bottle that I've been refilling for over a year. So what I did was I bought one spray bottle, and I buy the really big ones. I don't know how many ounces, maybe 20 ounces or so to refill it, and that works really well. How I use the peroxide: when I soak pads, sometimes the surface looks clean, but if I know that it's a pad that was very heavily soiled, especially my overnight pads, I will spray peroxide on it, because a lot of times there's still blood in the pad that's not very visible. So I spray this, and I kind of, either it will foam if there's something still in the pad, or I put it up to my ear, and you can actually kind of hear the peroxide reacting with the blood. So this is how I make sure that even when pads look clean, they actually don't have blood left in them. The other thing I have is Ecover stain removal. Ecover, I'm not really sure how you say it. I can't get my camera to focus. Why is it doing this now? Okay, there we go. So I use this. A friend said that she liked this better than the Fels-Naptha, so I bought a bottle to try. And what I find is that it seems to work faster than Fels-Naptha. So Fels-Naptha, I think, works fine for me for the most part. But if I want to wash sooner, I find that this works really well with laundry detergent. So the right way to use it is to you're supposed to apply it to the fabric, brush it on because it has a built-in brush, and then put the, whatever the item is into your laundry. And I think it works really well in that way. So what I usually use it when I don't have time to do a very long soak, or when I don't have time to leave Fels-Naptha to work on anything, or when I've already used Fels-Naptha once or twice and I want to just move on and wash quickly. Ecover is the last thing I use. So for really tough stains, for any pad that's been stain treated already, that's not responding well to Fels-Naptha, or not responding fast enough, I'll use Ecover on it. I could probably use this alone, and it'll be effective, but it's more expensive than the Fels-Naptha, so I only use it if I need to. Laundry detergent, I've been using Purex for my hand washing loads. I use Tide in the machine. No reason really, it's just that Purex is pretty inexpensive. I usually buy it when it's on sale for about $2 a bottle. And I use the Fluff Love University Detergent Index to kind of, rate effectiveness. And Purex is rated a little bit lower than Tide, so I figured I could use it for hand washing because I could easily kind of visually inspect if things weren't as clean as I wanted them to be and rewash them if I needed to, but I haven't had to really do any rewashing. I think it's been working fine. The other items I have here, my bucket and my washing wand. It's kind of weird to show off a bucket, but the reason I want to show off these buckets are because they are from a brand called Tub Trugs. I'll include the links to everything that I'm mentioning right now in the description box. And I bought this. I bought the green bucket and this basket thing here. It's called a Sesto strainer. Very early on, I'm using cloth, maybe March 2015. And this is really great for soaking pads. So let me just show you. Apologies, I'm doing this one-handed. The strainer is made to fit in this bucket. This bucket is a size small bucket. So these are the two I bought when I was only soaking pads, when I wasn't doing pads with, when I wasn't doing manual washing for my pads, when I was just soaking them and then putting them in the machine. This works really well because if you don't want to touch bloody water, you soak the pads in it and then you just put them up and out and they drain. Now that I manually wash my pads and I just kind of have been doing bigger loads by hand, I bought the medium bucket. I always forget the measurements, but I'll include what the dimensions are in the description box. And then the washing one, just the real kind of hero here, is basically a specially designed laundry plunger. So it has a handle up here, and if you've heard about the bucket and plunger method before, it involves taking a regular kind of toilet plunger and punching holes in it to make it work for laundry, because you need to be able to basically kind of force air into the water so the water is able to come through the holes. So this is specially designed. It has these holes up top here. It's, has this kind of spiral design, and it has this special kind of vent at the bottom here, and it all kind of breaks down into 4 pieces, so it doesn't take up much room. And it works really, really well. Like when I get to doing laundry, you'll see just moving it up and down in the water causes the whole thing to cycle around just as if it's in a washing machine. So that took a little longer than I expected it to take, but that's kind of all the things I use for my laundry. It might seem like a lot, but none of it is that expensive, and all of it lasts a really long time. And some of it I've accumulated, while using cloth for over a year and a half. I also have a couple of things I use when I dry my stuff, but I'll show you that when I get to that stage in the process. Alright, I'll be back in a few hours maybe to soak some pads. Bye. Hi again. So I'm going to show you how I prep my pads for soaking. I use the scoop that originally came with the Oxo Bright. And this, I think, measures to about line 1 or line 2 in the Oxi-Clean scoop. It has a different scoop in that container, but it doesn't really matter. You just kind of get a feel for how much you need. So what I do first is most Oxi-Cleaners, if you look at the instructions, recommend using warm water. But since we don't, we avoid using hot water for pads, I usually put a scoop into this container here and dissolve it in some warm water and then add it to the pad. So I'm going to do that and then come right back. So I have some water. I think it's maybe 8 or 12 ounces of water. I didn't really measure. And I have a chopstick that I keep in my laundry bucket. So I just get that mixed and try to dissolve the oxy as much as possible. That's probably fine. And then what I do, usually I place the pads in the bucket first. So I place the pads soiled side down in the bucket. I'm going to try my best not to show you any blood in this video, but just these pads are actually soiled, so just keep that in mind. So I put the pads soiled side down. And then I don't pour the mix right onto it since the mix is warm. What I do is I add some cool water to the bucket. Oh, that's it. And then kind of pour the mix over it. Don't need much water. You really just want enough water to cover the pads. Then I kind of swirl it around. The blood doesn't bother me, so I just put my hand in it. I don't use gloves or anything. I use gloves sometimes, but that's mostly just to protect my nails from excessive contact with soap water, but the blood is not the issue. So now I'll just leave that to soak. It's nighttime now, so I may leave it overnight, or I might try to get it done before bed. I'll see how it looks in a few hours. Alright, bye for now. Hi again. So my pads have been soaking, I think maybe an hour and a half or so. I took a look at them and it seems like most of the blood is out of the pads. So I'm going to go through right now and pour the bloody water out and then squeeze all the pads to get most of the rest of the liquid out of them. And then I'm going to go through and stain treat them and spray peroxide on them so you can see how that works. I'm going to do the messiest part off camera and then come back and show you how I check for stains and treat them with peroxide. Okay, so I just dumped the kind of soil water out. So at this point, what I'm going to do is go through and squeeze the water out of each pad. And if it needs stain treatment, I'm going to rub Fels-Naptha on it. And also for the ones that I know are, were pretty heavily soiled, but look clean on the surface. I'm going to spray peroxide on it just to make sure there's nothing left in the pad. Okay, so this, I have my pads in this strainer here. So I'm hoping this stuff is getting caught at a good angle. So this one, there's no major staining on the surface, but I'm going to just spray peroxide on it. And if you can see some reaction there, so there's some blood left in it. I'm going to toss it in the bucket for now. I may end up speeding this bit up, but I want to show you how I do each one. So most of these don't have any surface stains because all of these got washed pretty soon after I wore them. So if I used to mention I put it up to my ear sometimes. I don't know if I can get it on camera, but you can sometimes hear the, even though there's no reaction on the surface, you can hear that there's reactions in the pad itself. So this one still has a good bit of blood in it. Also, this one has, you can see that sometimes the blood ends up coming from the back once it's actually fully saturated in water. So this is kind of reddish on the back here. Let me just kind of get through this quickly. So this one has a bit of a light stain here. I don't think that's too gross to show on camera. So I just take Fels-Naptha. I try to get it a little bit damp. I'm just using the liquid that's on my hands. And just rub it on the pad. And I use it pretty liberally since, you know, it's so inexpensive. And I just put it aside until I'm ready to soak again. So I'm going to do a second soak on all of these to really get all the blood out. I just do the first soak to get the majority out. But I don't like leaving them in dirty water for too long. So this one is going to need a bit of stain treatment. So then just rub it. Gosh, sorry. Quickly here. So it kind of is all over. So yeah, this one again, the surface looks more or less clean, so I'm just gonna do peroxide on it to make sure it's so again, there's still a reaction there, so there's actually more blood than it looks like there is. And this one's almost the last one. And this one I'm going to spray with peroxide for sure because this is suede cloth, so it's a stay dry topper, and you actually really wouldn't be able to see much blood on the surface. So the peroxide helps with that. So this is the last pad. I just spray it with peroxide, make sure there's no blood left in it. And then at this point I just do the same thing I did before, which is mix 1 scoop of the Oxi-Cleaner in some warm water and then add it in with the pads with some cool water. And at this point I kind of added any other laundry that I want to do with this batch of pads. So for me, I have some reusable wipes, some tissues, some face wipes that could all benefit from an Oxi soak, so I put them in here. I avoid putting them in the first soak that I do with my pads just because there's so much blood in the water, so this one the water shouldn't be nearly as soiled, so I put them all in together and then I leave that to soak at least half an hour, maybe an hour. So I most likely will get to wash this load tonight, so I'll come back when I get to that stage. Hi again, so I just took a look at my pads and for the most part they look pretty clean. A good rule of thumb I think is that by the second soak, when you squeeze your pads, the water should be completely clear. At that point you know there's no blood left in them and you can go ahead and wash. So what I'm going to do is off camera I'm going to go through and just squeeze the water out of all of them. I think one of them is going to need additional stain treatment, so I'm going to show you how I apply the Ecover on that one, and then I'm going to pause, do the rest of the pads, and then show you the actual wash routine with the washing one. So I'm going to find that one pad I think that needs stain treatment. Goodness, sorry. Small bathroom. Okay, so think it's basically that same one that I sent you earlier. So I'm just going to squeeze the water out. You know, there's no brown or red coming out with it. It still has a pretty light stain there. So I'm going to grab the Ecover. And it comes with these bristles at the top built into the bottle. So I just tip it over, squeeze a bit out, not too much, and then you just kind of work it into the surface of the pad. And then I just let it sit while I prepare the rest of the pads. So I'm just going to pause here and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so at this point we're actually to the washing part of the wash routine. What I'm going to do here is, before I get into that, so my wash routine is based on a modified version of the Fels-Naptha University method for hand washing cloth diapers using a bucket and plunger method. I figured, you know, whatever is good enough for cloth diapers would be good enough for cloth pads. I don't do as many wash cycles as they do, but I think the pre-soaking that I do kind of covers some of their wash cycles. So the first thing I do is measure up my detergent. I usually use line 2 in this cap. Sorry, I'm doing that off camera here. Or maybe it's actually line 3. Anyway, so I pour the detergent into the bucket. I like to use a bit of warm water at this stage once I know all the stains are out, so I'm not going to set any stains because I think most detergents work better with warm water. So I'm just going to put some water in the bucket and I'll be right back. So I put some water in the bucket and I really just want to get enough water to start dissolving the detergent. And at that point I start adding my pads and wipes and whatever I have into the bucket. And then I go back and add more water to get the bucket up to the right level of water. I kind of do it by feel to see if it's warm enough, or rather that it's not too hot. And what I do is, at this point, I hope you can hear me, I put the bucket in the water and I kind of press it so that I get a feel for when it's the right amount. Because it's important that you have the right amount of water in the bucket, because it has to be enough water that the water to item ratio has to be correct, because you want to be able to have enough water that the items can agitate freely and like move around the bucket, but not so much water that they don't touch each other, because agitation, you know, is just as important a part of the cleaning process as the detergent and all that. So I need to add maybe a few more inches of water here, maybe 2 or 3 more inches of water. Just bear with me through the noise. So I kind of just do this, and when I feel kind of the right amount of resistance, then I'll stop. So that feels pretty good right there, actually. So this is the fun part. I'm hoping I'm in a good place here. So basically I just move the plunger up and down in the water, and you'll see all the items just start to swirl around. So I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but what I do is 100 plunges, leave it for 10 minutes in the soapy water, come back and do 100 more plunges, and then do the rinse cycle. So I'm just going to show you like about 10 or 20 of the plunges so you see what that looks like. Maybe I'll show you the full 100 and I'll just speed it up. So here we go. So that was about 20. I don't have a cover on my bucket, so it can get a little messy, but I try to control it and keep the water in the tub. So that was 20. I'm going to pause and I will come back when I'm about to rinse. So remember, I do 100 of these, wait 10 minutes, 100 more, and then rinse. Hi everyone, I'm back again. Sorry, this video I've been filming like different parts of this for the better part of today. So I just did my second set of 100 plunges for the wash cycle. I'm going to show you how I get the pads ready to rinse. Basically, the main thing I do is lift everything out of the soapy water. I put it in my my strainer. And the reason I lift it out is that you don't want to pour the water out and then have to, one, hold the items back, and two, you don't want to pour basically water that has like soil stuff onto the things you just cleaned. So I take everything out and then tip the water out. So I'm going to do it and be back in a second. Okay, so what happens now is basically kind of similar to before. I go through and I squeeze the water out of all the items. That's to basically get as much of the soapy water out of it. And once I do that, I put it into the bucket, and same thing as before, you want to get the right ratio of water in. So I fill it up with clean, cool water this time for the rinse cycle, and I do another 100 plunges. This time though, instead of letting it sit in that water, what I do is take everything out again, dump that water out, then put in a fresh batch of water, let it sit in that water. 5 to 10 minutes is fine. I tend to leave it sometimes for a few hours, just because at that point I feel comfortable leaving them unattended for a while, and then come back to my last 100 plunges. At that point I'm done. I can squeeze everything out and hang it up to dry. So I am I will film the rinse just so you can see how effective the washing wand is at getting the soapy water out, but I'm not going to show you all the squeezing and stuff, so I'm going to pause again and then I'll show you what the rinse in action looks like. I actually wanted to come back really quick and show you how well the Ecover worked on this pad. It had a light stain here, and I feel like I can say it's pretty much gone now. So the Ecover, basically putting it on and then putting the item into the wash with the detergent seems to work the best. So I'll be back again to show you the rinse cycle. So I've added the items back to the bucket and added some clean water. So I'm going to show you the full 100 plunges this time because I want you to see like how effective the washing wand really is, and you'll see like how the water goes from flat to sudsy just when it is getting all the soap out. And also, so you'll see that 100 plunges actually doesn't take that long, even though it sounds like it might take a long time. I might mute the noise here. It depends on how loud it seems when I edit this. So here we go. So that was 100 pumps, and as you can see, the water is totally sudsy now. So I'm going to take everything out, squeeze the water out of them, and put a fresh batch of water in, and do the 100 pumps again, and by then they should be completely suds free. At the end of all that, I will show you just what I use to hang dry the items in my bathroom. So I'll be back when I'm ready to do the drying part. Bye for now. So the end is finally near. I did my last rinse cycle and I squeezed the water out of everything, and here it is hanging. So I have two IKEA octopus hangers because I have a lot of reusables that I hang dry in my bathroom. So basically I let them drip dry in here, and depending on the weather, in the winter time when our heat is on, the air in the bathroom is really dry, and it actually dries overnight hanging in here, but in the summertime that doesn't really work very well. So I let them drip dry in the bathroom, and then I move them to another room if they're not dry by the next day. The reason I like the octopus hangers in particular because these arms fold up when they're not in use. Oh, that's a terrible demo. So that means they don't take up much room when, you know, I'm not using them. So I like that because we live in an apartment building, so it's nice to be able to kind of make things compact when they're not in use. So yes, I'm just going to show you quickly what I use if they're not dry by the next morning. And then that will be the end of this extremely long video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for your patience, and I hope you found something interesting, you know, and useful for your wash routine. So I'm just going to quick see next room and I'll be right back. So apologies, your light is awful in this room. I wanted to show you this thing. It's a hanging kind of, I think, over the door drying rack they call it. It's kind of basically a sweater dryer, but it hangs on the back of the door. And what I do is, if my pads are not dry by the next morning, but I want to get them out to the bathroom, I lay them flat on these shelves here. This is at the back of a door in a room in our apartment. And then here they can kind of stay out of the way. This door is open during the day, so really open all the time, so it's just, you know, they're behind the door, nobody can see them. And even if we have people coming over, I don't have to move my pads because it's a room they don't go into, and they can just stay here and air dry for as long as they need. And again, like the octopus, this kind of lays flat when it's not in use, because you can just pick up the shelf and lay flat against the door. So that is my cloth pad wash routine from dry storage all the way through to drying. Yeah, so I'm sorry that it was so long. I just wanted to show you all because, you know, the tips and tricks that I've picked up in the year and a half using cloth, and I think they're helpful for people who live in a similar situation to me, where you're in an apartment and you don't have your own washer and dryer, or even if you live at home, you know, with family, and you want to be able to take care of your pads on your own or separately from everybody else's laundry. This kind of provides you a way to do that, because the washing one is a pretty small investment. I think it's $20 or so. And I think it's really, really effective. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. And please let me know if you have any questions about any of the items, or if you want to see more close-ups of any of them, please let me know. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.